I'm sitting in a coffee shop that smells of cinnamon and steamed milk, but all I can taste is ash. My phone screen glows, a tiny, malevolent portal into a life I'm supposed to be part of. Story after story cascades past my thumb, my sister Emma's friends, her boyfriend, my own mother, all tagged at the same location, my parents' house. There are golden lights strung around the fireplace, glasses of mulled wine raised in a toast, and in the center of it all, Emma's perfect, radiant smile. It's the same smile from last year, and the year before that. The same toast, the same deafening silence on my end of the phone, the same Christmas Eve where they forgot to invite me again. But this time is different. I remember everything. This isn't just a suspicion, a familiar ache of being left out. It's a certainty, a memory branded onto my soul from a life I've already lived and lost. My rebirth, or whatever this cosmic second chance is, didn't come with a manual, but it did come with perfect, excruciating recall. It stripped away the hopeful naivety I'd clung to for 26 years, leaving me raw with the knowledge of what comes next. I can already see it unfold. In a few hours, my mother will call, her voice thick with fake sympathy. "Oh, Lila, honey, we just thought you were busy with your art. We didn't want to bother you." Dad will get on the line, his tone dismissive as he clears his throat. "Your sister said she sent you a text. You know how these things get lost." And Emma. Emma will deliver the final theatrical blow. A gasp over FaceTime, her hand flying to her mouth. "Oh my God, Lila, I completely forgot to confirm with you. I'm the worst sister ever." Lies, all of it. A carefully constructed performance designed to keep me perpetually on the outside. A convenient satellite they could blame for its own orbit. The coffee shop's festive music grates against my nerves. A cheerful, tinny rendition of "I'll Be Home for Christmas." The irony is so thick I could choke on it. I set down my untouched latte, the ceramic cool against my trembling fingers. And for the first time in 2 lifetimes, a genuine smile spreads across my face. It feels foreign, sharp, and dangerous. This year, I won't be home for Christmas. And they are going to be the ones left out in the cold. The memories aren't gentle. They crash over me like a tidal wave of ice water, pulling me under into the dark currents of my past life. 26 years of playing the forgotten daughter, the backup plan, the convenient scapegoat. I remember my 8th birthday, when my party was rescheduled because Emma had a last-minute soccer tournament. They promised we'd celebrate the next weekend, but we never did. I remember my high school graduation, where my parents left halfway through the ceremony to get a good table at the restaurant Emma had chosen, leaving me to find my own ride. I was always the afterthought, the one whose feelings were flexible, whose time was infinitely expandable to accommodate everyone else's priorities. I trace the rim of my cup, the motion a ghostly echo of 1,000 other lonely moments. My mind flashes to last Christmas Eve, the last one. I'd spent it huddled in my tiny studio apartment, the smell of turpentine from my canvases mingling with the salty tears tracking down my cheeks. I had ordered greasy takeout Chinese, the little white boxes a pathetic substitute for a family dinner. I scrolled through their photos then too. "An intimate family gathering," the caption read. So intimate it included Emma's new boyfriend Marcus and both of his parents, whom they'd only met twice. I had cried myself to sleep, clutching the hand-knitted scarf I'd made for my mom, the gift I never got to give. The barista is looking at me, her brow furrowed with concern. "Miss, are you okay?" I realize I'm trembling, the cup rattling in its saucer. I force my smile wider, trying to reassure her. "Never better," I say, my voice surprisingly steady. The trembling isn't from the cold this time. It's not from sadness. It's from pure, unadulterated anticipation. The game has been reset, and this time I know all the rules. As if summoned by my thoughts, my phone buzzes on the table. The screen lights up with Emma's name. My heart gives a familiar, conditioned lurch of hope before I squash it like a bug. I know what this is. The text reads, "OMG Lila, with all the holiday craziness, I totally spaced on Christmas plans. So sorry. You're probably busy with one of your cool art things anyway, right? Let's catch up after the new year." The casual cruelty of it is breathtaking. The dismissive assumption, The breezy sign-off, the emoji, meant to soften a blow that was delivered with surgical precision. In my previous life, this text would have been my cue to grovel. I would have replied instantly, my words tripping over themselves in a desperate scramble for inclusion. Not busy at all. Was waiting to hear from you guys. Let me know what time I should come over. Love you. I would have rearranged imaginary plans, invented a story about a canceled event, done anything to accept the breadcrumbs they were offering. I would have swallowed my pride and my pain just for a few hours of their conditional, lukewarm attention. This time, my fingers are steady as I type my reply. I let the cursor blink for a full minute, a small act of power. Then I write, "Actually, yes, already committed elsewhere. Have a wonderful time." I don't add an emoji. I don't add a love you. I hit send. The small blue bubble pops up on her side of the screen. I watch as the three little dots appear, indicating she's typing. They appear, then vanish. Appear, then vanish again. For 5 full, glorious minutes, she doesn't know how to respond. The silence is the sweetest sound I've ever heard. Finally, a single terse reply appears. Okay. I take a long, slow sip of my now cold latte. It's the most delicious thing I've ever tasted. I leave the coffee shop and walk into the biting December air. The city is dressed in its holiday best. Frosted windows on downtown boutiques, wreaths on every lamppost, the distant sound of a Salvation Army bell. My breath forms little white clouds in front of me. Instead of window shopping, I pull up the digital breadcrumbs of my past life's misery. My old, cloud-synced journal. The entries are a litany of quiet heartbreak. Christmas 2022. Waited until 9 p.m. for an invitation that never came. Mom called the next day, said they thought I was with friends. I don't have friends who would do that to me. Christmas 2021. Emma said the restaurant they booked was too small for one more person. She posted a photo later, and there was an empty chair right next to Dad. Christmas 2020. Saw the family Christmas photo on Facebook. I asked Mom why I wasn't invited. She said she assumed I had other plans for the holidays. What other plans would I have? They are my only family. The pattern isn't just neglect. It's a campaign. It's surgical in its precision, deliberate in its execution. Each excuse was just plausible enough to make me question my own sanity, to make me feel like I was the unreasonable one for feeling hurt. They didn't just forget me. They actively, methodically erased me, year after year, until I started to believe I deserved to be invisible. My walk takes me to the front of the Grand Sterling Hotel, its limestone facade glowing under the festive lights. In my previous life, I'd come here for a hostess job interview, desperate for extra income to support my art. I remember the interview vividly. Emma's boyfriend, Marcus, the hotel's smirking assistant manager, had conducted it. I didn't get the job. Later, hiding in a bathroom stall after humiliating rejection, I'd overheard him laughing with another staff member in the hallway. "You should have seen her," he'd said, his voice dripping with condescension. "Emma's sister, so pathetic, desperate for a handout." The memory makes the cold resolve in my gut harden into steel. I watch the doorman, his shoes polished to a mirror shine, reflecting the twinkling Christmas lights. My plan begins to formulate not a vague desire for revenge, but a concrete, step-by-step strategy. This time, I'm not here for a job. I'm here to collect a debt. I know who to call. I know what secrets to leverage. I know exactly how to light a match and walk away, leaving them to marvel at the warmth of the blaze that will consume their comfortable, deceitful lives. And they will never, ever see it coming. The air in my car is cold and smells faintly of oil paint and stale coffee. I'm parked across the street from Emma's apartment building, a trendy new build with glass balconies and an oppressively cheerful wreath on every door. I watch the warm, inviting glow from her third-floor window, imagining her inside, probably sipping Prosecco and wrapping last-minute gifts in expensive, glittery paper. The nearby Christmas tree lot fills the air with the scent of fresh pine, a smell I used to associate with happiness. Now it just smells like another holiday I'm not welcome at. I take a deep breath, my fingers hovering over my phone's screen. My previous life's heartbreak wasn't entirely without its uses. It gave me information. It gave me leverage. It gave me this phone number, memorized from a tearful night spent scrolling through Marcus's social media, trying to understand what he had that I didn't. I dial. It rings twice, then connects. Hello? His voice is clipped, professional. The assistant hotel manager, even on his day off. Marcus? I make my voice a low, intimate purr, a voice he's never heard from me, the mousy, awkward artist sister. It's Lila Chen, Emma's sister. There's a beat of silence. I can picture him frowning, trying to place me. Lila, right. Is everything okay? Everything is fascinating, I say, letting a hint of laughter trail through the words. I was just thinking about you and Emma and how much she trusts you. It's really sweet. I'm not sure she tells you everything, though. For example, I have something you might want to know about your girlfriend's little side business. The silence on the other end stretches, pulled taut like taffy. I can hear the faint sound of a television in the background of his apartment, a cheerful holiday jingle that sounds utterly incongruous with the tension I've just created. Finally, he speaks, his voice a barely there whisper, stripped of all its earlier confidence. What kind of side business? The secret had fallen into my lap by accident in my previous life. I'd been helping Mom clean out her closet, a rare moment of mother-daughter bonding, when she'd broken down sobbing. She couldn't find Grandma's emerald brooch, the one she was meant to wear to a charity gala. A week later, Dad's vintage watch went missing from his bedside table. Emma had been so sympathetic, so helpful. She'd hugged Mom, patted Dad's arm, and suggested they file a police report for possible burglary. She even helped them install a new security system. The truth was, there was no burglar. The thief was sleeping down the hall. Emma had been systematically selling off our parents' most treasured possessions, our family's history, piece by piece. She used the money to fund her designer wardrobe, her lavish vacations, her down payment on this very apartment, all while sighing about how the family was struggling financially, and she was just trying to be frugal. This time, I didn't wait for a tearful confession that would never come. I had prepared. The evidence glows on my phone screen now, a neat little folder of digital ammunition. Screenshots of Emma's secret Venmo account with descriptions like green gem pin and men's gold timepiece. Photos from her private resale Instagram page where our grandmother's brooch was displayed on a velvet bust priced at $3,000. I'd even found the buyer, a vintage jewelry collector in another state, who was more than happy to provide a statement when she learned the item was stolen. It's a retail business, Marcus, I say into the phone. High-end vintage. The problem is, her supplier doesn't know they're her supplier. Our parents. The sharp intake of breath on his end is my confirmation. He knows, or at least he suspected. His silence is complicity. I'm sending you a file, I say calmly. What you do with it is up to you. But if I were you, I'd want to be on the right side of this when it all comes out. And trust me, it's all coming out. I hang up before he can respond. Christmas morning. The artificial cheerfulness of the day feels like a physical weight. I arrive at my parents' house at precisely 10 a.m., a ceramic plate of my homemade gingerbread cookies in hand. The recipe was Mom's favorite. I play my part to perfection. I'm the gracious, grateful daughter, just so happy to be included, so understanding that things get hectic during the holidays. Mom kisses my cheek, but her eyes are distant, already focused on the pot roast in the oven. Lila, you made it. The cookies look lovely. Dad barely looks up from the financial section of his newspaper. Morning, Lila. Emma, however, is a whirlwind of performance art. She prances around the living room in a new silk designer dress, a vibrant red that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I recognize it from a boutique I can't afford to even walk past. It was likely funded by Grandma's lost sapphire necklace. She squeals when she sees me, rushing forward to wrap me in a hug that smells of Chanel No. 5 and deceit. Lila, I'm so sorry about yesterday. My brain is just fried, she gushes. I'm so glad you could make it today. I just smile. I nod. I accept the lukewarm glass of champagne she presses into my hand. I take photos of them all on my phone. Photos of Mom wearing a new pearl bracelet I've never seen before. Photos of Dad admiring Emma's dress. Photos of the happy, perfect family. My camera capturing the evidence they don't even realize they're providing. I am a ghost at the feast, and I am documenting my own haunting. The doorbell chimes at exactly 2:07 p.m., just as Emma is holding up her grand finale gift from Marcus, an absurdly expensive handbag. The timing is exquisite. "I'll get it," Mom calls out, wiping her hands on her apron. I watch as she peers through the peephole. Her shoulders stiffen. Her face, when she turns back to the room, has gone chalk white. She opens the door a crack. "Can I help you?" she asks, her voice suddenly strained. A man's voice, calm and authoritative, cuts through the festive atmosphere. "Ma'am, I'm Detective Rodriguez with the city's fraud division. We've received some credible reports about stolen jewelry from this address appearing in online marketplaces. We'd just like to ask your daughter, Emma Chen, a few questions." Emma's champagne flute, held aloft in a gesture of triumph just moments before, slips from her fingers. It shatters against the hardwood floor. The sound is sharp, violent, like breaking bones. The sudden, absolute silence that follows is even louder. As chaos erupts, I make my quiet exit. "Excuse me," I murmur to no one in particular, "just going to use the restroom." The living room dissolves into a cacophony of panicked noise. Emma's hysterical, tear-choked denials. "Stolen! That's insane! It's a misunderstanding." Mom's confused, fluttering protests. "Officer, there must be some mistake. We had a small burglary, but that was months ago." And Dad's voice, a low, booming thunder that rattles the very walls. "Emma, what the hell is going on?" I close the powder room door, the click of the latch sealing me away from the implosion. The room smells of lavender potpourri, Mom's favorite. I lean against the cool marble of the vanity and listen to my family tear itself apart. I feel nothing, no pity, no remorse, no lingering affection. Just a cold, clean satisfaction. The satisfaction of a perfectly executed plan. My phone vibrates in my pocket. A text from an unknown number. "This is Marcus, she's lying. I have the records, we need to talk." I delete the message. He's served his purpose. Let him navigate the wreckage on his own. I flush the toilet for effect and walk out to watch the rest of the show. January arrives, draping the city in a shroud of bitter wind and gray skies. The holiday cheer has curdled, leaving behind only slush-stained streets and the grim reality of a new year. I pull my second-hand wool coat tighter as I step into the gleaming, impersonal lobby of Hartwell and Associates. The marble floors reflect the cold, overhead lights like pools of ice. Everything here smells of power and expensive cleaning supplies. For 23 years, this firm was my father's life. He talked about his partners like they were brothers, about his cases with a passion that bordered on religious fervor. In my past life, I'd never understood what happened 3 years ago. His career, once on a meteoric rise, had just stalled. A major promotion to senior partner, one everyone said was a sure thing, was delayed indefinitely. He became quieter, more withdrawn, a shadow of the brilliant, confident man he'd once been. This time, I knew. I knew who had sabotaged him, and I knew exactly why. The receptionist's smile is as polished and perfect as her French manicure. She looks up from her screen, her expression flawlessly pleasant. "Can I help you?" "I have an appointment with Mr. Hartwell," I say, my voice even. "Lila Chen." Her smile doesn't flicker. "Of course, Miss Chen. Mr. Hartwell is ready to see you." Senior partner James Hartwell, my father's best friend since their days at law school. Uncle James, we called him. He'd been at every major family event, his arms slung around Dad's shoulders in countless photographs. He was also the man who had systematically dismantled my father's career. He'd stolen Dad's client list, taken credit for his 2 biggest case victories, and then, with the precision of an assassin, had destroyed his reputation through a campaign of whispered rumors. George is losing his touch. He seems distracted lately. I'm worried about his mental acuity. I'd learned all of this at my father's funeral in my previous life. It was late after most of the mourners had left. Hartwell, drunk on expensive scotch and grief, or perhaps guilt, had confessed the whole sordid story to Emma in the kitchen, not knowing I was sitting in the darkened living room, listening to every self-serving, slurred word. He'd framed it as a mercy. George couldn't handle the pressure anymore, he'd said. I did what I had to do for the good of the firm, for his own good. Now, sitting in the plush leather chair across from him in his sprawling corner office, I breathe in the rich, cloying scent of his celebratory cigar. The city skyline stretches out behind him like a conquered kingdom. He thinks I'm here as a supplicant, the grieving daughter of his fallen friend seeking career advice. He has no idea I'm here as an executioner. I smile sweetly, cross my legs, and discreetly press the record button on the voice memo app on my phone, which sits face down on my lap. Your father, Hartwell begins, swirling a heavy tumbler of amber liquid, was always too trusting. A brilliant lawyer, no doubt, one of the best, but a terrible politician. He takes a slow sip, his eyes gazing at a point somewhere over my head. He never saw the moves coming until it was too late. I nod, arranging my features into a mask of sympathetic understanding. I am the naive daughter, hanging on his every word. He always spoke so highly of you, Mr. Hartwell. He said you were like a brother to him. A flicker of something, is it discomfort, pride, crosses his face. We were. But brothers sometimes have to make hard choices. His words are starting to slur, just a little. He's been drinking all afternoon. This is a tough business, Lila, a shark tank. Your father was a dolphin, a brilliant, brilliant dolphin, but a dolphin nonetheless. I lean forward, feigning earnestness. I just don't understand what happened with the Chen account. He worked on that for years. He said it was his masterpiece. Hartwell lets out a short, harsh laugh. The Chen account, he says, shaking his head. That alone was worth $3 million in annual fees. Your father, bless his heart, would have botched the closing. He was too emotionally invested. I had to step in. It was a mercy, really. I protected his legacy. I keep my expression neutral, my heart beating a slow, steady rhythm in my chest. Keep talking, you arrogant fool. Keep talking. The next morning, I am a whirlwind of quiet efficiency. The audio file from my phone is crisp and clear. Hartwell's voice, thick with whiskey and self-importance, damning himself with every word. I create 4 identical USB drives. Drive hash 1 goes by messenger to the president of the State Bar Association, along with an anonymous typewritten letter detailing a potential ethics violation. Drive hash 2 is messengered to the CEO of the Chen account, the firm's biggest client, the one Hartwell had saved from my father. Drive hash 3 goes to the editor-in-chief of Legal Ledger, the industry newspaper that had once praised my father's innovative litigation strategies before abruptly ceasing all coverage of him 3 years ago. Drive hash 4 is the one that matters most. I place it in a padded envelope and send it via courier to my father's house. Inside, with the drive, is a simple handwritten note on plain cardstock. Thought you'd want to know why your best friend really destroyed your career. Love, your daughter who actually pays attention. The silence that follows from his end is a victory in itself. No angry call demanding to know what I've done. No confused questions. Just a deep, profound silence that tells me he's finally listening. The fallout is swift and brutal. By Thursday, Hartwell's forced resignation is the lead story on the Legal Ledger website, citing personal reasons. By Friday, I read that 3 of the firm's major clients, including the Chen account, have pulled their business, announcing they are reevaluating their legal representation. By Monday, my mother leaves me a breathless, panicked voicemail. Lila, your father, he's getting calls from other firms, big firms. They want to hire him. They're talking about making him a senior partner. What did you do? I don't call her back. Instead, I celebrate alone at a small, bustling dim sum restaurant in Chinatown. The air is thick with the savory scents of steamed dumplings and jasmine tea. I watch the families around me laughing and talking, and I don't feel a pang of loneliness. I feel a sense of profound peace. I am my own family now. My phone rings. Dad's name flashes on the screen. For a moment, my heart skips a beat. A lifetime of conditioning makes my thumb hover over the accept button. Then, I remember the years of quiet neglect, the dismissals, the casual cruelty. I remember that he never once stood up for me against Emma or my mother. He let them erase me. I decline the call and let it go to voicemail. He can leave a message. I'll decide if I want to listen to it later, or maybe never. March sweeps in on a wave of cherry blossoms and daffodils, painting the city in hopeful pastels. But the beauty feels like a mockery, a painted backdrop for the ugly truth I've just uncovered. I'm sitting on my worn studio couch, scrolling through my Instagram feed. The soft pink petals on the screen are a stark contrast to the black and white photos spread across my coffee table. Photos of my best friend, Sarah. In my previous life, Sarah was my rock, my confidant, the one person I thought I could count on. I'd cried on her shoulder after every family rejection, every professional disappointment. I'd never questioned why my job interviews, which always started so promisingly, would suddenly go cold. I'd never wondered why potential clients for my freelance art commissions would ghost me after an enthusiastic first meeting. I'd never understood why my carefully crafted applications seemed to disappear into black holes. I'd just assumed I was unlucky, unskilled, not good enough. That's what Sarah had told me too. "Oh, sweetie, the market is just so competitive," she'd say, squeezing my hand. "Don't worry, you'll get there. You just need to keep trying." This time, I didn't just try. I investigated. I took a small portion of the money I'd been saving from a few minor art sales and hired a private investigator, a discreet, professional woman who specialized in corporate and personal background checks. The report had arrived this morning. The photos tell a story that makes my blood run cold. There's Sarah, having coffee with the hiring manager from a gallery I'd applied to. There's Sarah, laughing at a bar with a man I'd been on 2 promising dates with before he abruptly stopped calling. There's Sarah, sitting in a conference room with the marketing director of a company that had been on the verge of giving me a major freelance contract. My rock, my confidant, my saboteur. The coffee shop where Sarah and I have our standing Wednesday meeting smells of roasted beans and an intimacy that now feels like a violation. I watch her as she walks in, all breezy confidence and expensive athleisure wear. She air kisses my cheek and settles into the chair opposite me, her perfect teeth flashing in a practiced smile. "Ugh, what a week," she sighs, dramatically stirring 3 packets of sugar into her cappuccino. "I am so over corporate hell. You're so lucky to be a freelancer, Lila. All that freedom." The hypocrisy is so blatant, so audacious, it's almost impressive. What she doesn't say, what she's never said, is that she's been the architect of my freedom. She's systematically poisoned every well, burned every bridge, ensuring I remain stuck in the precarious world of freelance poverty. She needed me to be her project, the talented but struggling artist she could offer emotional support to, a constant, flattering reminder of her own success. My failure was the bedrock of her self-esteem. "I know what you mean," I say, keeping my voice light. "It can be tough." "See, you get it," she says, her eyes shining with false empathy. "But you're so talented. I know something big is just around the corner for you. I can feel it." "Oh, you have no idea," I think. I lean forward, lowering my voice to a conspiratorial whisper, a technique I've learned from watching her. "Actually, you might be right. I wasn't going to say anything until it was official, but I have a huge opportunity coming up." Her mask of casual support slips for just a fraction of a second. Her eyes, usually so warm and sympathetic, flicker with a cold, predatory gleam that I've finally learned to recognize. "Oh my God, what?" "An interview next week," I say, letting the words hang in the air. "With Morrison Creative for their senior copywriter position." "Morrison," she breathes, the name dropping from her lips like a jewel. "Morrison Creative is one of the top agencies in the city, notoriously difficult to get into." "Lila, that's amazing. How did you swing that?" The creative director, Rebecca Morrison, saw my online portfolio and reached out directly. Headhunted me. Sarah's smile is back, wider and brighter than before, but it doesn't reach her eyes. "Wow, we have to celebrate, and we have to prep. Tell me everything," she purrs, already pulling out her phone. "I'll take notes. We can run through some mock interview questions. I want to make sure you nail this." I watch as her thumbs fly across the screen. Taking notes. I know exactly what she's doing. She's getting the name of the agency, the name of the hiring manager. She's gathering her ammunition. And I'm handing her a loaded gun. Morrison Creative doesn't exist. Neither does Rebecca Morrison, the fictional creative director whose LinkedIn profile I spent 2 days meticulously creating, complete with a fake work history and endorsements from other fabricated accounts. And the phone number I'd given Sarah for Rebecca's direct line? It rings directly to the desk of my private investigator. By 7 o'clock that evening, the trap has been sprung. The PI emails me the audio file. Sarah's voice is smooth, concerned, professional. Hi, Rebecca. This is Sarah Jenkins. Yes, I'm a friend of Lila Chen's. I was so thrilled to hear you were considering her for the senior copywriter role. She is so wonderfully creative. As her friend, I feel a professional obligation to provide some context. She's been under a lot of personal stress lately, and while her raw talent is undeniable, she can be a bit unstable. Her reliability has been an issue for her in the past. I'd hate to see her get in over her head in a position with that level of responsibility. The recording is a masterpiece of character assassination, delivered with the practiced ease of a seasoned pro. It's clear this isn't the first time she's made a call like this. The next morning is a flurry of activity. I draft a carefully worded, anonymous email. The subject line is simple. Regarding the professional conduct of Sarah Jenkins. The body of the email is concise, laying out a detailed timeline of Sarah's interference in my career over the past 3 years. I attach the audio file of her call to Rebecca Morrison. I attach screenshots of her conversations with my other potential employers, which the PI had managed to acquire through a source at Sarah's own company. I send the email to the entire executive board of her PR firm. I send it to her direct boss, a woman who had built her personal brand on being a champion of female empowerment in the workplace. I send it to a few key journalists who cover the marketing and PR industry. Then, I turn off my computer, put on my running shoes, and go for a long walk in the park. I breathe in the fresh spring air, listen to the birds singing, and watch the world go on, blissfully unaware that Sarah Jenkins' carefully curated professional life is currently imploding in real time across company servers and social media. She appears at my apartment door at precisely 9:14 p.m. She must have run here. Her mascara is streaked, her designer blazer is rumpled, and her hair is a mess. She clutches her expensive handbag like it's a life raft. "How could you?" she sobs the moment I open the door, her voice raw and accusatory. "How could you do this to me, after everything I've done for you?" I lean against the door frame, my arms crossed. I don't invite her in. "I was trying to protect you," she cries, the tears now flowing freely. "You're not ready for those kinds of jobs, Lila. You're too sensitive. You can't handle the pressure. I was doing it for your own good." I look at her, I really look at her, for the first time without the filter of our supposed friendship. I see the calculating fear in her eyes, the performed vulnerability, the desperate need to be the hero of a story where I am the perpetual victim. I see the years I wasted, believing her narrative, internalizing her assessment of my worth. She hadn't just sabotaged my career, she had tried to sabotage my soul. "I know," I say quietly. "It's the only answer that matters. I know what you are. I know what you did. And I know that I am done." I close the door in her face, the click of the lock echoing the final, satisfying end of our friendship. The rain starts in the late afternoon, a steady, relentless drumming against my apartment windows that seems to echo the turmoil of the past few months. I'm packing. The lease on my studio is up at the end of the month, and even before everything, I had decided not to renew. I need a new space, one that doesn't hold the ghosts of my past life. I'm folding a well-worn sweater when my phone, sitting on the dusty kitchen counter, begins to ring. It's an unknown number, a corporate-looking prefix I don't recognize. I almost ignore it, assuming it's a spam call, but something makes me wipe my hands on my jeans and answer. "Hello?" A woman's voice, crisp and professional, replies. "Am I speaking with Miss Lila Chen?" This is she. "Miss Chen, my name is Patricia Wong. I'm a senior partner with Chen and Associates. We are the legal representatives for the estate of your late great-aunt, Mei Lin Chen." The name sends a jolt through me. Great-aunt Mei Lin. The family ghost. I've heard the story 100 times. Always told in hushed, cautionary tones. The rebellious daughter who shamed the family, ran away to America in the 1960s, and supposedly died penniless and alone. I'm afraid we have some rather urgent matters to discuss regarding your great-aunt's estate, Patricia Wong continues, her tone unwavering. Are you available to meet at our offices tomorrow morning? The scent of jasmine tea from the cup cooling on my counter seems to intensify, the world suddenly tilting on its axis. In my previous life, this call had never, ever come. The law offices of Chen and Associates are on the top floor of a skyscraper downtown. The space doesn't smell of power like Hartwell's firm. It smells of old money, of generations of quiet, unshakable influence. The air is still, scented with polished wood and old leather. Patricia Wong is a formidable-looking woman in her late 60s, with a sweep of silver hair and eyes that seem to see right through me. She doesn't waste time with small talk. She slides a thick, leather-bound portfolio across the vast mahogany table. Your great-aunt, Miss Chen, did not die in poverty. Quite the opposite. I open the portfolio. The top page is a summary of assets. My eyes scan the numbers, but my brain refuses to process them. They're just abstract symbols, a language I don't speak. I see the name Chen Holdings, Inc., and next to it, a valuation that makes my breath catch in my throat. Your great-aunt left very specific, very strict instructions in her will, Patricia says, her voice gentle but firm. The bulk of her estate, in fact, her entire controlling interest in Chen Holdings, was to be left to you, her sole heir. My fingers tremble as I trace the embossed letterhead. Chen Holdings. Asset value $847 million. The story Patricia tells me feels like a fever dream, a piece of fiction woven into the fabric of my own life. Great-Aunt Mei Lin had not run away in shame. She had escaped. She arrived in California with $200 and a mind like a steel trap. She'd worked 3 jobs, put herself through night school, and earned a degree in engineering. She had an uncanny knack for seeing the future. She invested her meager savings in a tiny, unknown company that made something called microprocessors. She bought acres of cheap, sun-scorched land in a dusty valley south of San Francisco, a place that would one day be called Silicon Valley. While her family back home was composing her obituary, Mei Lin was building an empire. Technology, real estate, biotech. She never remarried, never had children. Her work was her life. Her empire was her legacy. She never forgot how they treated her, Patricia explains, her gaze steady. How they cast her out for wanting a life of her own, for refusing to marry the man they'd chosen for her. She followed your family from afar. She knew about you. She saw a reflection of herself in you. The artist, the quiet one, the one who didn't quite fit their narrow mold. This wasn't a simple inheritance. It was a test. A grand, posthumous challenge from a woman I'd never met. The will was ironclad, filled with conditions. I could only be contacted by the estate, could only claim my inheritance after I'd met a series of qualifications. I had to be financially independent, no matter how modest my means. I had to have severed all dependent ties to my immediate family. And the final, most important condition, I had to have proven, through my actions, that I was no longer seeking their approval. I had to demonstrate that I valued myself enough to walk away from people who did not value me. The trust has been monitoring your family for years, Patricia says. We have extensive records. We saw your previous struggles, your constant attempts to win a love that was never going to be freely given. Mei Lin hoped you would eventually find the strength to choose yourself. She couldn't interfere per the terms of the trust, but she was waiting. My silent revenge loops, my decision to cut off Sarah, my refusal to beg for a place at their Christmas table, these weren't just acts of self-preservation. They were the keys that unlocked my future. My great-aunt hadn't just left me a fortune, she'd created a crucible designed to forge me into someone worthy of it. I walk out of that opulent office and back onto the gray city streets. The world looks exactly the same. The concrete, the glass, the hurried, anonymous pedestrians. But I am a different person. I am no longer Lila Chen, the struggling artist, the forgotten daughter. I am Lila Chen, the heir to Chen Holdings. The power of it is a tangible thing, a weight and a lightness all at once. I stop at a newsstand to buy a bottle of water. My eye catches the headline of the financial paper. The story of Hartwell's resignation has been updated. Hartwell scandal widens. Firm faces mass client exodus. It feels like news from another lifetime. My phone, which I'd silenced for the meeting, buzzes incessantly in my coat pocket. I pull it out. 17 missed calls. Emma, Mom, Dad. Even Sarah, a desperate, pleading voicemail. News must have leaked. A transfer of controlling interest in a corporation worth nearly $1 billion isn't something that stays quiet for long. The financial press would be all over it. They know. And now, they are the ones who are desperate. I look at the list of missed calls, the frantic notifications. A year ago, this would have been everything I wanted, their attention, their desperation, their need for me. Now, it's just noise. With a strange sense of calm, I power down my phone. I walk toward the harbor, the salty air filling my lungs, the cry of the gulls drowning out the frantic, fading noise of my former life. That evening, I sit on the floor of my studio apartment for the last time, surrounded by cardboard boxes and the smell of dust. I'm packing the few things that truly matter: my paintbrushes, my worn copy of my favorite poetry book, a small, framed photo of a beach I've always dreamed of visiting. In my past life, I had died here in this room, not from any physical ailment, but from a profound and deep-seated despair. A death of 1,000 cuts, each one a small act of neglect, a casual dismissal, a forgotten invitation. I had died believing I was worthless, unloved, and utterly, irrevocably alone, and now I understand. I hadn't been punished. I'd been prepared, tested, refined in a fire I never knew was lit for me. Patricia had given me one last thing before I left her office: a sealed envelope containing a letter from Maylene, handwritten on thin, elegant paper. It lies open on my makeshift kitchen counter. The script is beautiful, a string of perfect, decisive characters. The last line seems to lift off the page. True family isn't born. It's chosen. Choose wisely, little sparrow. I look around the empty room at the life I'm about to leave behind, and I know, with absolute certainty, that I am finally ready to choose. They have assembled at my mother's house. I know this because she has left me 14 increasingly frantic voicemails. I can smell their desperation from the curb, a potent and unfamiliar perfume that hangs in the air. Through the front door, I can almost picture the scene. The same vanilla-scented candles Mom always lights for important occasions, the strong coffee Dad brews when he needs to think, the cloying scent of Emma's expensive perfume, worn like armor when she's about to go into battle. I make them wait, not out of cruelty, but because I need a moment. I sit in my parked car down the street and watch the sunset bleed across the sky, painting the clouds in shades of lavender and fiery orange. Shades of liberation. This is not a confrontation, it is a conclusion, my conclusion. When I finally walk up the path and ring the bell, 20 minutes have passed. My father opens the door. His face, usually a mask of stoic indifference, is etched with a naked, pleading anxiety. When I step inside, I see them arrayed in the living room like a tribunal of regret. Their faces, illuminated by the soft lamplight, are masks of false contrition, reflecting the golden glow. "Lila, sweetheart," my mother begins, her voice trembling with a carefully practiced emotion I've seen her use on sales clerks and waitstaff. She rushes toward me, her hands outstretched. I stand my ground and she lets them fall awkwardly to her sides. We need to talk. We've made some terrible, terrible mistakes." My father clears his throat, the sound sharp and loud in the too quiet room. "We've had a long talk as a family," he says, his gaze fixed on a point just over my shoulder. "We realize now that we've taken you for granted. Terribly so." Emma is already dabbing at her eyes with the designer tissue. Her performance is the most polished of all. The mascara is perfect, the tears glistening just so. "I've been so selfish, Lila. I see that now. Maybe I was jealous. You were always the smart one, the talented one. I think I felt threatened by you." The confession is designed to flatter me, to appeal to a sense of magnanimity she assumes I possess. They begin to offer me everything I once would have killed for. The words tumble out, a desperate, clumsy cascade of promises. We'll start new traditions, Mom says, her eyes wide and earnest. Christmas morning with your name on a stocking right next to Emma's. We'll make sure of it. That family vacation to Italy we took last year? Dad adds quickly. We'll go again, all of us. First class, my treat, a real family trip this time. We'll go to therapy, Mom chimes in, nodding vigorously. The three of us, family counseling. We'll learn how to communicate. We'll learn how to be better for you. My father delivers what he believes to be the master stroke. And that business loan you asked me for last year for your art studio, the one I discouraged, consider it approved. A gift. No, better. An investment in my brilliant daughter. So they are trying to buy back my love with the very currency they always denied me. Inclusion, attention, validation. I let the silence stretch. I study their faces one by one. I see the features I inherited, my father's determined chin, my mother's quick, intelligent eyes, Emma's elegant cheekbones. A genetic lottery that had, for my entire life, felt more like a burden than a gift. I had spent so many years contorting myself, trying to live up to the expectations reflected in those faces, craving an approval that was always just out of reach. The only sound in the room is the steady, rhythmic ticking of my mother's antique mantel clock, counting down the seconds of my old life. They wait, their bodies tensed, their expressions expectant. They are flowers, wilting and desperate, waiting for the rain of my forgiveness. They are so certain it will come. Because I have always forgiven them. I have always come back. No, I say. My voice is quiet, but it lands in the center of the room with the force of a physical blow. The word hangs in the air between us, a stark, simple, irrevocable judgment. Their faces cycle through a rapid series of emotions, disbelief, confusion, a flicker of anger, and then, finally, a hollow, dawning recognition. I look at my mother. I don't want your therapy sessions. I look at my father. I don't want your guilt money. I look at Emma, and I don't want a stocking with my name on it. I take a slow breath. I don't want to be the project you all fix to make yourselves feel better about who you really are. But we're your family, Emma finally chokes out, the sob catching in her throat, her performance finally cracking under the strain of genuine shock. You're not bad people, I say, and the strange thing is, I almost mean it. They are not monsters. They are just limited, self-absorbed, incapable of a love that isn't transactional. You're just not my people. You never were. I let that sink in. I see the final dawning horror on my mother's face as she understands that this is not a negotiation. This is a verdict. Family, I continue, the word feeling strange on my tongue, is supposed to be a choice you make every day. You have to choose to see someone, to value them, to make space for them. Every single day for my entire life, you chose to exclude me. You chose to make me feel invisible. And now, I am simply choosing to accept your decision. I stand up, smoothing the front of my simple black jacket. The movement is fluid, calm. I feel a profound sense of peace settle over me. The ghosts that have haunted me for 2 lifetimes are finally, blessedly silent. I walk toward the front door, breathing in the familiar scents of my childhood home one last time. Vanilla candles, and strong coffee, and desperate, expensive perfume, mingled now with the salt of their real, shocked tears. I pause at the door, my hand on the knob, and look back at the 3 of them, frozen in their tableau of shattered expectations. I truly hope you find what you're looking for, I tell them. I already have. The front door closes behind me with a soft, definitive click, as quiet as the end of one story and the beginning of another. 6 months later, I am standing on a wide, sun-drenched terrace overlooking the Pacific Ocean. The morning breeze, carrying the clean, sharp scent of salt and the sweeter perfume of the jasmine vines I've planted along the railing, ruffles my hair. The vast blue expanse of the water stretches out to meet the sky, a horizon of infinite possibility. My new home in Malibu is modest, at least by billionaire standards. It has 4 bedrooms, most of which are empty, A professional-grade chef's kitchen that I am still cautiously learning to navigate, and enormous floor-to-ceiling windows that frame the sunset like a new piece of living art every evening. I didn't choose it for its monetary value. I chose it for its peace. My phone buzzes on the small wicker table beside me. It's a text from Wei, an elderly gentleman with kind eyes and hands permanently stained with soil, whom I met at the local community garden where I volunteer on weekends. Dumpling night at my place. Patricia is bringing her famous hot and sour soup. You are expected at 6. Do not be late. I smile. Patricia Wong, the formidable lawyer who managed my great-aunt's estate, has become something I never knew I was missing. A maternal figure who offers sharp, unsentimental guidance without conditions and a fierce, unwavering love without manipulation. The three of us, the grieving widower who finds solace in his vegetable patch, the powerful lawyer who is surprisingly lonely, and the reformed heiress who is learning how to live without apology, have formed an unlikely, deeply cherished family unit. The offices of the Chen Foundation hum with a quiet, focused energy. The foundation, funded by the seed money from my inheritance but guided by the principles of my own heart, is my life's new work. We focus on providing financial and mentorship support for young people aging out of the foster care system, giving them the unconditional support system I never had. The afternoon sun streams through the windows, warming my shoulders as I sit at my large, uncluttered desk. A stack of grant applications lies in front of me, each one a story, a collection of dreams and hopes typed onto scholarship forms. Each one is a reminder that family and community can be created, not just inherited. I approve a grant for a young woman who wants to study veterinary medicine. I sign off on funding for a boy who dreams of becoming a chef and opening his own food truck. I fast-track an application from a non-binary teen who needs a security deposit for their first apartment. This work feels more real, more valuable than any painting I have ever sold. I'm leaving the foundation offices for the day, heading toward the parking garage when I see her. Emma. She's standing uncertainly by the elevator banks, looking small and out of place in the cavernous, modern lobby. She's changed. She looks older, and the designer armor she used to wear has been replaced by a simple cotton sundress. She isn't wearing any makeup. Lila, she says, her voice small and hesitant. I was hoping I might catch you. For a fleeting moment, I feel it. The old, familiar tug of shared DNA. The deeply ingrained genetic programming that whispers words like family and forgiveness and second chances. It's a phantom limb, an ache for something that was never really there. We sit at a small table in the sterile, impersonal cafe on the ground floor of the building. It is neutral territory, a space defined by the scent of coffee and the careful measure of words. Emma stirs her latte with a nervous, repetitive precision, her plain gold wedding band catching the light. I've been in therapy, she says, not looking at me. Real therapy. By myself. Not just the family sessions Mom tried to force. I'm starting to understand a lot of things. The damage I caused. I'm glad you're getting help, Emma, I reply, and I'm surprised to find that I mean it. Her healing is her own journey. It has nothing to do with me. But my healing doesn't require your redemption. I know, she says, finally looking up. Her eyes are clear for once. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything, actually. I wanted you to know that I see you now. I really see you. I see what I took from you, what I was so afraid of you becoming. She reaches into her purse and pulls out a single folded piece of paper, sliding it across the table. I wrote this for my therapist originally, but I thought you should have it. You don't have to read it. I'm not expecting a response. You don't owe me anything. I pick up the letter and, without looking at it, put it in my pocket. Some boundaries are not lines in the sand. They are walls of stone, built to protect a hard-won peace. Thank you, I say, standing up. I have to go. That evening, I walk barefoot along the edge of the water on my private stretch of beach. The waves rush up to greet me, erasing my footprints in the wet sand as quickly as I make them. The letter sits, unopened, in my pocket. Its contents are less important than my choice about them. The sky above me is on fire, painted in the spectacular, brilliant shades of an ending. Deep purples, vivid oranges, and soft pinks that reflect off the surface of the water like scattered jewels. I think of Great Aunt Mei Lin, building her empire from nothing, watching her little sparrow from afar, waiting for her to learn how to fly. My phone buzzes. A message from Dr. James Chen. No relation, despite the uncanny coincidence of the name. He's a brilliant oncologist who sits on the board of the foundation with me. He's been patiently, respectfully asking me to dinner for 3 months. Still thinking about that weekend trip to Napa we discussed. His text reads, "My treat if you ever change your mind about mixing business with pleasure." I smile, a real, unburdened smile, and type back, "Pick me up at 7 tomorrow. I'll bring the wine." As full darkness settles over the ocean, the first stars beginning to prick the velvety sky, I pull Emma's letter from my pocket. I hold it up to the moonlight, the paper glowing faintly. Unread, it represents all the apologies I never needed, all the conversations I never had to have, all the closure I had to find within myself. The waves reach for my toes, the water cold and clean. With steady fingers, I tear the letter into small, neat pieces. I open my palm and let the wind catch them, scattering them across the dark water like confetti. The ocean, vast and indifferent, carries them away. Some stories don't end with a dramatic reconciliation. They end with a quiet choice. The simple, profound, and life-altering act of choosing yourself. I turn and walk back toward the warm, golden lights of my house. Toward the chosen family waiting for me with dumplings and soup. Toward the foundation that will be my legacy. Toward the future I built, not from the ashes of my old life, but from the beautiful, solid ground of my new one. Behind me, the Pacific whispers its ancient, timeless promise that tides always turn, that wounds can heal, and that sometimes the greatest gift you can ever receive is the strength to walk away from a shore that no longer feels like home.